Hi everybody, welcome to Cup Day. We might even be seeing this a little bit before Cup Day, depending on where harness racing New Zealand plays it out. But this is the Cup Day preview for Big Fish, Little Fish. It's our first one, Craig. It's going to be a massive day, 13 races. Some of the markets not open as we record this, but the market for the Cup has been open for a long time, Craig. The 11th of 13 races goes at 5:34 today. I think most people, big fella, have come down to maybe 4 winning chances. Some people might have come down to 2.
I've got down to 2, Michael. To be honest, I had Classy Brigade in my 4. The barrier draw has taken it out of calculations.
Yep.
I'm not saying it can't win the race, but I think it's definitely disadvantaged on what happened for the draw on Wednesday. I'm leaning Self-Assured and Copy That. And this stage, when we're doing this recording, I haven't made my mind up, Michael. I really want to go back and have a look at that Cup Day trial again, because I didn't like what I saw with Self-Assured, and I couldn't make out anything of the run of Copy That. They both didn't do enough for me to want to tip them strongly. Copy That just went round. I couldn't tell if it went good or went bad. What I can tell is Self-Assured has done nothing to help my chances of thinking it'll step away, other than it drawing out wide on the track, which I think is a huge advantage.
Yeah, so for those who haven't looked at the Cup field yet, of course, Self-Assured, Heart and Copy That off the front. Self-Assured out wide, which will help, but he did bobble away in the Cup trial. Spankham and Classy Brigade, who are most other people's winning chances in the race, drew the second line. That really hurts. I think if Copy That's the first horse of those top 4 to the first bend, Craig, he'll win the race. I think Blair Orange will go around, he'll get the lead, and I think he'll get it easily. And then I don't see Self-Assured as a horse who can rough him up and get in his way. I'm not saying it'll be that easy, but we might end Tuesday night and have a beer and say to ourselves, hey, he's a pretty darn good horse. We know Self-Assured's a very good horse. There's no doubts about that. He's already won an Auckland Cup, and if he stepped to that role first, I think he'll win. So in many ways, I know it's a long way, Craig, but I'm betting on who gets there first of those 2 absolute top horses. I'm thinking Copy That's more likely because Self-Assured's galloped in about 4 of his last 6 starts.
Is your tip to win the race?
Yep, he's my tip to win the race. I have little doubts about him over 2 miles. I'm a little bit concerned that maybe it's not his natural go in life because he's so fast. But I also don't think this will be a 352, 353 Cup. I think it could be a 357 Cup, which I think he can get away with. I'm not saying he won't stay, and maybe he'll be really good at it, but I haven't got any proof of that yet. And not many horses in the last decade have won a Cup without having at least had a 2-mile race. But I just think after what I saw at Ashburton, which is always the best lead-up race, he looked a horse in the zone and he'd be awfully, awfully hard to catch.
A couple of things out of what I've made with Copy That. I thought Ashburton was a brilliant tactical drive that got him home. He wasn't quick away either. He settled at the back end of the field, but he was the first to move, so that won him the race. What my concern about Copy That is not probably over the distance. I think he'll probably get the 2 miles. That doesn't concern me. Barrier 1, this race will be won inside the first 200 metres of this race, because I believe it's either going to be a hindrance or an advantage. Most people look at Barrier 1 and say it's an advantage. But my thoughts about Barrier 1 with Copy That is it's a little bit like Bad to the Bone coming out of the age pace at Kaikoura. My reservations on him when we talked on Big Fish, Little Fish was if you missed it half a length and got buried, you lose tactical advantage, and that's what happened. William Wallace got in front of him. He had to come around, sit parked out. He went magnificent, but he got beat. I reckon if he'd drawn 7, they would have been happy. Barrier 1 was the worst draw he could draw. But in saying that, if he steps away and Blair can manoeuvre his way through the field inside the first 100 metres, and what inevitably happens in the 2-mile races at Cup time is that there are gaps inside the first 400 metres because the field is spread out. You've got your chances to get off the marker pegs, and we've seen a lot of times in the Cup, Michael, they've gone 400 metres, the horse that's 3 or 4 back on the fence, straight away comes round, and as long as it's not one of the more favoured runners, the leader's there for it. Now, Copy That is that first one that can get off the marker pegs in front of Spankham and Self-Assured, absolutely can win the Cup. My biggest problem is he can't get too far back from Barrier 1.
No, I agree, 100%. And it might just come down to being a standing start race between those 2 very good horses. Spankham's going to need something really to go right for him to win, even though he's a wonderful horse. And Classy Brigade, I think, is running for a place now. The one thing about Copy That is he actually has started off handicaps 20 and 30 metres off barrier 1 before at Alexandra Park this campaign, and he's actually been really good. I thought he'd be claustrophobic in those situations, but he's actually copped it. So I think he'll be okay, but I agree with you. I'd rather back him from barrier 4 or 5. Is there a place bet in the race which you could see falling into a 3rd or 4th for the trifectas, which is outside those big 4?
Well, I think that the obvious 4 are the 4 we've talked about, and the next tier level are your Ashley Locas, 888s, and fixers. Now, the fixer...
No Mark Chard for you?
No, I don't think he's a real 2-miler, Michael. I know he can get a 2 miles, but I think he's better when he's on the market pegs, and I'm not sure from barrier 8 how he's going to get onto the market peg. So I just thought, if you're going to bet outside the obvious 4, you need a horse that's going to get an economical trip. They're not good enough to make their own luck, in my opinion. Yep. So I think the fixer or Ashley Locas, one of those two could get across at the start because they're both very good beginners. Ashley Locas began brilliantly in the Kaikoura Cup. I thought went a very good race. He began good at Ashburton. He's drawn out wide on the track, which we've been to a lot of cups, Michael, and we know out wide you can slingshot them and come across. And I thought he's a good chance. He's nowhere near as good as the other 4, but he might not have to be if he can lob a trail or through the fence. So if you're asking me what my rough in the cup would be, I wouldn't say Ashley Locas was without a first 4 chance.
Actually, I like Mark Chard to run first 4. I think he'll improve a lot on Ashburton. But that's, again, we're talking about splitting hairs. They're not horses I'm going to be backing. Let's talk about the big races. For people who want to get more in depth with a race-by-race preview, Craig will have that on his Wales Harness hotline. Craig, just that line again, please, the website.
Yeah, mate, www.walesharness.co.nz, mate. We'll do that 7 o'clock on.
Walesharness.nz. Let's talk about the big races. Amazing Dreams got barrier 9 in race 4. It's the Neville Mears final. First time it's ever been called that. I think she'll still win, but it's not going to be easy, and she's probably got to sit park to do it.
She is. Her 2 main rivals, she's beaten fairly and squarely. Let's be honest. She beat Stylish Memphis fairly and squarely in that non-tote, and she beat Need You Now fairly and squarely when she came from behind her to beat her. So I think she's the obvious pick for everybody. Are you happy to take $1.40? Most people aren't, but I couldn't tip against her, Michael. I think the other 2 are big improvers. I think Stylish Memphis is on the up and up. I like the way she won the other day. I think she's a cracking Quinella chance and an outside upset chance against the proven all-star runner.
Okay, the free-for-all trot, it's race 7 on the card. Gee, it's a beauty. So many permutations here. Majestic Man has to be favourite, but Heavyweight Hero's got enough gate speed to get off, and there could be some early pressure. Tough Yankee might even have to go forward from the outside of the gate, and then you've got all these good horses on the second line like Cracker Hill, and it's just a beautiful race to punt into because you could probably back 2 or 3 horses and give yourself a chance. But what's the one for you?
I think for me at this stage, when we're recording this message, Majestic Man, he had that off day, and I know he had an excuse. I mean, he got worked up at the start of the race. Winterfell didn't help him by hitting the barrier, and he just went off. And horses can do that. And once they do that, they just become unsettled and they just don't want to race. And he did that. He went back to Ashburton about a week later, Michael, and we saw the real version of him over a short distance. Gate speed, find the front, relentless off the gate, and they never came back to them. If that version turns up at Addington on Tuesday, the lead should be there for him. I think barrier 2 will find the front. He'll be the first of the market pegs. You know what it's like there, Michael. You don't want to be going around them if you don't have to. I think he can't give up tactical advantage, so I expect him to stay there. How much pressure will he cop? Well, a little bit. I would suggest something like Tough Monarch may go forward, Muscle Mountain may go forward, but to be fair, I don't see him handing the lead, so he's got to hold the advantage betting-wise.
Yeah, he does. He has to be top pick. It's going to be a hell of a race, though. Cracker Hill's a wonderful horse. I can see there actually being a gap here.
What's your pick in the race, Michael?
What's that?
What's your pick in the race?
I want to say Cracker Hill. I really do. I just think that there'll be a gap where Majestic Man and Heavyweight Hero will punch through. And I reckon he can punch through and maybe get 3 back on the outside. Sort of odd that Valmain's inside. And Valmain's like a rating 58 or something. I don't even know how good the race. Good luck to him. But I think if Cracker Hill can punch through, and if they go hard, the Tough Monarch comes off the gate, there might be a bit of pressure. But yeah, Majestic Man picks himself. It's in a matter of trying to find something to beat him. The 8th on the cards are Sire Stakes. Now, this is really interesting. because I know you're a big Cup Day trials man. Krug was average at the Cup Day trials. Krug was good to average for him in the heat of this race 2 weeks ago at Ashburton. Some of these horses are going to be getting tired. Nathan Purden's come out in the media and said, hey, my horse is getting tired. But we reckon we can get there because he's a better lot. We can work him down and get him fit. But this is the race for It's All About Faith. I don't trust the horse. I don't really love the horse. But he's going to lead. I don't see any pressure, Craig. And Krug's going to need to be back to his best to beat him. That's my synopsis on the 8th on the card. What does the big fish say?
I need to go back and look at Krug's trial again. But like you, initially I was a little bit disappointed. What's not helping him is the horse that he's following out, because Aladdin's going to do him no favourites. If you've got It's All About Faith as your natural leader, the stablemate's not going to put any pressure on you. So he's going to not settle back in the field, but he's not going to use his barrier draw to go forward either, which means Krug's going to have to come round them at that stage. Is he good enough to come around and win a sire stakes? Not many horses do, Michael. We've been doing this for an awful long time, and you tend to find the horses that are on the market pegs or in front win the sire stakes. Very few can come from back in the field. Copy That nearly did this last year from an awful barrier, but that's few and far between. So he's got advantage. It's All About Faith. I've not liked what I've seen about him in the last month. I thought his run at Ashburton was very average. I thought he found the front. I thought Mark tried to steal the race. He did everything that you said on Big Fish, Little Fish would happen. He'd roll from about the 800 and try and run them into the ground, and the trailer come off his back. The advantage he's got this week is he's not going to have American Dealer on his back.
So that's exactly why I'm picking him. I don't like the horse either, Craig. I think there's a little bit of cat about him. Or he's immature. He doesn't know how to do things correctly yet. But
I think it's a bit of the second thing, Michael. I think it's a bit of the...
Might be both.
I think it's
your cat.
I don't think it's the cat. It's more that he's a big, not really weak 3-year-old that probably is doing a really good job in a big body that's probably 6 months away.
You're a nicer person than me, Craig. But I reckon he'll get away with it. I really reckon it. I reckon he'll lead. And
I do as well. I think he'll lead. And if you're on him, you're going to get a hell of a good ride for, I reckon, about 1,950 metres. It's
last 30 might be the problem. Oh, Craig, it's going to be a great day. Look, obviously the Junior Free for All's a boomer. Absolute boomer. There's some great support racing. Anybody wanting to get all of those details, well, there's a preview show, the box seat preview show on Monday night. You can get that online, hrnz.co.nz. Go to Craig's personal line. There'll be a lot of information on HRNZ2, stories from Josh Smith, Johnny Turner. There's just all sorts of stuff going on, and the team will keep you updated throughout the day. And of course, Craig and Cookie are going to be on trackside, so you guys will have a whole range of options for people, Craig, and lots of interviews and stuff going on. It's a great day. If you are betting, bet responsibly. But thanks for watching Big Fish, Little Fish for Cup Day 2020.